Would please rise, remove your hats. I'm going to call on Commissioner Griner to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day you've given us, Lord. Just thank you for this commission. Help us to make wise decisions in your name tonight, Lord. Thank you for everybody that's in this room, and help us to look to you for the decisions we need to make, and help us to follow your will for our lives, Lord. And Lord, thank you for our first responders and our military. And Lord, thank you for the freedoms you've given us in this country, Lord, and just help us to be able to keep them. We want to please you and do your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get actually into the business of the commission, there's someone here I'd kind of would like to recognize that's in the crowd. It happens to be a very prominent staff member that we have. But on Saturday, there was a 9/11 5K run. And one of our staff members finished second in his age class, Chief Lloyd Green. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to apologize to the commission. If I knew they were keeping score, I'd have walked past them and took home the gold. But next year, I'll do better.
Thank you. Well, good. It was a wonderful event. There was a good turnout, so we're very proud of you. And we had others as well from the county. It was well represented. I know the recruits, they ran the whole thing with gear.
Yes, they did. Wow. I believe we had close to 25.
Yes, sir.
You run?
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna get that kind of run.
You should be, and we are as well. So thank you for your leadership, sir. All right, Commissioners, inside your packets, you'll find your minutes of the work session of August the 22nd, the millage hearing, and the regular session minutes of August the 23rd, as well as the special called meeting on August the 26th. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. We'll now move into our public hearing items. Our first case is Agenda Item 5A. This is REZ 2022-15. It is the O'Neill property. It is located at 2547 U.S. Highway 84 West. It is currently R21. The request is for CH. It has well and septic, and this involves 4.53 acres. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Again, this is a request to rezone the property from its current R21 residential zoning to highway commercial zoning, CH. The same request was made last year and denied by the Board 3-2. Currently, the property is accessed off of Highway 84, thus putting it in the Highway 84 corridor overlay, also within the urban service area, and depicted as Community Activity Center character area on the comprehensive plan. A letter of support was signed by adjacent neighbors. That map is before you, as well as a letter of opposition, which was submitted late Friday, is before you now as well. In 2021, code enforcement had an ongoing case of this property, as was pointed out in last year's discussion. Some of those violations have been corrected. There's still a few that need correcting according to the code enforcement director in office. And while CH zoning is permitted within the character area, staff found the request inconsistent with the existing land use patterns, and the Planning Commission ultimately recommended approval, 5-1.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dillard?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I see there's a letter dated in here that says something to the effect of September 2nd, they had a recent violation. Have those violations been addressed?
If I may, it's my understanding that that some of the violations have been taken care of, but they all have not been corrected, so we still have an open case as far as the property goes. So I think I'm correct that regardless of the outcome of the rezoning request, those violations will still have to be taken care of,
That's correct, sir.
correct? Okay.
Okay. I would hope that there would be no violations if it was coming before us now, so it look good.
Okay.
You know, I like, it's gonna be,
Well, the property does look good. I went by it this afternoon before coming up here, and the grass is mowed, and it really looks good. There's some things that need to be cleaned up near the house, but other than that, it looks quite well.
Sure. Well, that's good, but keeping in mind, we still have an open case.
That's right.
Okay?
Well,
Any
I
other
say that
questions?
because it's indicative of his trying to do what he needs to do.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. I'd like to tell everyone that on the rezoning cases, each side will get 10 minutes. If one individual takes all the 10 minutes, then that is the 10 minutes. So just keep that in mind, and if there's someone here that wants to speak, then you need to get with whoever's going to be the spokesperson and/or to work that timeline out, but 10 minutes is the time that will be allotted. So we'll open the public hearing up at this point. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, sir.
Bill Langdale, 2000, about to give you my old address, 2519 Jerry Jones Drive, here in Valdosta. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commissioners. Nice to see you all again.
Good to see you.
Let me assure you, my client is going to clean up and do everything. I think that a lot has been done, and I appreciate Mr. Weisenbeck observing. I'm sure all of y'all have looked at it, but, you know, he's not a big lot, but looks pretty good. Y'all can pass it down if you like. Now, granted, there, in other words, don't do his own, it's only talking to her.
Sir, this is recorded, so if you could refrain from speaking not at a microphone, otherwise it won't be captured.
I'm going to pass these pictures around. I just want to see, he's done a great job. Now, you do have some farm implements, but this gentleman's been working on tractors because he farms for 20-something years on this property. And, you know, I think maybe some of the enforcement may be a little zealous, but I'm not being critical. But right now, he's trying to harvest corn.
That's okay.
But he's trying to get his corn out of the field, and that's the only way. But everything looks great except some of the tractors in the back, but you can't even see them. This lot must be 500 feet deep, and it's next to the railroad track. There's a lot more out there that distracts from the view than just what Gary has. And you'll find many of the houses there have garages in the back and have different things, and I don't think he's doing anything different that is pretty customary. That's what I'm trying to say in a nice way. Let me, well, we're requesting CH, and let me just give you a few reasons why it's appropriate with this property. And I know, as long as most of you have been on this board, you know all of them, so bear with me. And I apologize if I seem redundant. You know, this property is in the urban service area and within the community activity center, which permits CH. So this property, right off the bat, CH is permitted. Secondly, you know, you'll have a planning commission that y'all formed many years ago, as we all know, and to make recommendations and to study it. And there's a cross community effort of people. It's a cross section of the community appointed, and they voted 7-2 to approve it. But should, I know it's just a recommendation, but should carry the ball a little ways anyway. Thirdly, it's located on one of the busiest east-west corridors that we have in Lowndes County, Valdosta. It's a 4-lane with a median. So it's influenced with a lot of traffic. And of course, we make these improvements for what? To improve business. And that's what we're seeing now. It's sandwiched between a railroad track and industrial park on the south and this 4-lane highway with a median on the north. So it's a pretty logical extension that you would see, what? Commercial development. And then in addition to that, if you look at your overall map, I know that one, I'm gonna step away from the mic for 1 minute. I'm gonna hand you a couple of these drawings. It shows you that CH extends from, well, it goes all the way into Valdosta, but from I-75 to a few hundred feet from this property, and then picks up again with commercial a few hundred feet west of it, and goes on for a mile or two. So this isn't an exception. It's actually an exception. This property is still residential.
Mr. Langdale, if you'll give them to Miss Amy O, then she will get them down to the commissioners.
And I know y'all seen that. I just wanted you to have benefit of it for you. Let me tell you what we call these areas. We call it transitional. And we have a lot of that when we're a growing community and when you start four-laning. You're gonna have that on North 41. Here in Lowndes County, you're gonna have a lot of people rezoning what used to be residential. Bay Tree Road here in Valdosta, and Mr. Chairman, now you remember, from Bay Tree, from the university all the way out to Raymondton, there wasn't anything but houses. And when we started rezoning that, the planning staff, and I'm not being critical of yours because you got awfully good people, they say, well, this is inconsistent. It's inconsistent. This should stay residential. Well, guess what? You don't have a single residential house on that stretch. But guess what? Everybody benefited. We started rezoning. I must have done 10 of them and had to fight every one of them to the city council, told them to change it because it ought to be something different. I talked to Sonny Vickers the other day, and he said that was the best thing we ever did, rezoning Bay Tree Road. Now you've got, I think, 7 apartments and a lot of businesses, and it's thriving. And that's why you have improvement. This is a transitional area. I remember, and I better talk a little faster, in the 60s, they're going to put a service station across from my grandfather's house, and they said, Judge Langdale, aren't you going to object? He said, no, I'll have somebody to change my tire. Patterson Street was once residential, but you won't find a single house from here all the way down to the hospital. Well, you will, Tom Curry's, one or two. They're not very many. We talked to all the neighbors, and I'm going to say most of them. All of them agree that it's going commercial, is commercial, the highest and best use is commercial. And most of them signed this petition. Some didn't sign it. They told me that they had a father in the nursing home and they didn't want to increase the value of the property, which is a reasonable thing because, you know, the government comes back and tries to take your property. They all agree the highest and best use is commercial. And you say, well, it worries me that we're gonna zone this tract and leave residential next to it. If you don't rezone it, you're hurting the neighbors, you're not helping them. Why? It's just like on Bay Tree. The ones stayed there as long as they wanted to stay there, and when they got ready to sell it, guess what? They didn't get a depreciated residential value, they got a commercial value, it was 4 or 5 times more. And all you have to do is look at the deed records and you'll see what's happening there today. Gary intends to use the property for the same purpose that he's used it for now. He hopes that commercial use will come along, but he's going to improve it and he's going to abide by your rules. He's going to keep it clean, keep it looking good, and I'm going to leave somebody 3 minutes. I hope you'll support us. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Langdale?
No.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we've got 3 more minutes. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Lonnie O'Neill. I live on 3023 Pecan Plantation Road. I've been living out on 84 for 70 years, and it has improved a lot. And I bought a house over there across from Gary a year ago, 5226, and I got a lot next to it, came with the house. And I've been approached by numerous people want to buy it, but I've been holding off because it's an investment. And I've been approached by a veterinarian office, maybe wanting to use it commercial if we get it commercial. But from James Road, there's a commercial lot, then you got a house. They want to go commercial. Then you got Tall Pine Road, Then you got my lot and my house and the house next to me. All three of us want to go commercial later on. And that's gonna be a great value to me. But like I said, on that road out there is a 4-lane highway, and I've been living out there, in the last 13 years, I have not seen a house, no house has never been built. All we've been having built out there is commercial property. Nobody wanna raise a kid on a 4-lane highway with 55-mile-an-hour traffic, or a railroad track behind them. So it's gonna go all commercial, I hope, one day. And, I just hope y'all take that into consideration. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Minute and a half left. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I had one question in regards to the particular zoning that they're requesting. Would the same violations stand, such as the ones with the semi-trailer and things like that, or would that comes with commercial zoning altogether?
Mis-
Question, maybe.
Mr. Dillard.
There are a few minor violations that would be allowed if you went commercial, such as the semi-trailer. But by and large, most of them would be a violation regardless of the zoning that it's in.
Okay.
So again, we have an open case, there's current violations, and those violations will have to be cleared up regardless of your decision on the zoning. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, again, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay. It's unanimous. Motion carries. Agenda item 5B is REZ 2022-10. This is the Campus Transitional Care Facility. Commissioners, we're considering the validity of the June 16th, 2022 vote. You're very aware of this particular case. What I would like to do at this time would be a show of hands of those that's in favor of declaring the June 16th vote are invalid. Again, unanimous. Oh, yeah, we've got to have a public hearing. Apologize. Hang on to that just a minute. Okay? We do have to have a public hearing on this. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Anyone that would like to speak in favor of it? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is David Shue, Major, United States Air Force, retired. I was here initially when that vote came in. There was a large contingency of constituents that were here that were very, very opposed to this because they were afraid it was going to impact their community, the value of their properties, okay? And I think it was very, 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 how would I, very, very observant that the commissioners saw that this was not what the community wanted in that area, okay? I have done numerous personal studies on this, have seen that crime goes up with these particular areas, okay? They are not supervised, okay? I implore you to go ahead and overturn this decision. Thank you.
Mr. Shue, can we get your address for the record,
Certainly,
please?
4867 Breakthrough Road.
Okay. All right. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request?
I just want to reiterate what I had said at the initial May 23rd, 2022 Commission and Planning meeting that was held, because it was not on the minutes at that meeting. So I just want to reiterate that in regards to this rezoning and the decision that was made on it, and you're saying that it's not valid with the vote.
Please pull the mic down if you would, please. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. This has been created with collective concerns from my family and the community that surrounds me. While we personally would love for people to receive help overcoming their addictions, we are concerned for their choice of location, their curriculum vitae, and their goals and abilities to manage such a facility of this measure. We have researched as much information as we could on such short notice. With our research, it appears that you would only have 1 or 2 people, if any, that would possibly meet the minimum requirements to run such a facility. There are also concerns that this facility, like many, is just a way to create revenue. These concerns are being voiced based on a quote from one of the board members. When being asked about how the property was going to be managed, this quote stated, "This is only one of 6 income streams that I work in monthly." While this statement might have been taken out of context, it is believed by my family and our community that their goals are not taken seriously. My husband and I have a total of 31 years combined law enforcement experience. Throughout our career, we have dealt with many people battling addiction. From our knowledge, training, and experience, these addictions are rarely overcome and the relapse leads to more criminal activity. We are also aware of society's need for change with drug abuse and wish that programs like these were more successful. However, from our experience and from statistics collected from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Department of Justice, and National Institute on Drug Abuse, 85% of individuals relapse within a year of treatment. Relapse for drug and alcohol use are an estimated 40 to 60% while in recovery. We also know that with drug abuse and other criminal activity is habitual. Such crimes commonly associated with drug use range from burglary, rape, robbery, murder, and other crimes, all to facilitate their addiction. With methamphetamine being very prevalent in Lowndes County, we are also aware from our law enforcement experience that methamphetamine users are extremely promiscuous and are involved in a large range of sexual crimes. This type of facility is being run by individuals that is not regulated or required to obtain licensing or permits through the state of Georgia. This means that there would be no system of checks and balances to ensure this facility is running properly and meeting expectations. Due to our knowledge and experience, we feel that this facility would be poorly run and a danger to our community. We ask that the consideration for rezoning of the property located at 2193 Howell Road be denied and never reconsidered for this location. Just have one more thing I want to add. For the original commissioners meeting that we had in June, I just wanted to add that we had compiled over 500 signatures that were obtained in opposition to the rezoning, and we as a community feel that our concerns were never even entertained. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, commissioners? Okay. All right, we still have 5 minutes and 20-some few seconds. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else? All right, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Blake Howell. I live at 3417 Bourne Pond Road. I'd just like to say I'd like y'all to take the time, if this thing does come back up before you, to really research it if it does come before you, because I think there's a lot of things that you missed on the last go-around. For instance, let me get back to it. I'll save it here. Well, you know, this facility is not licensed, and I know they play it up as they don't need the licensure, but these guys have, you know, addictions that are considered medical diseases. I think that they need to have the proper counseling and resources that are going to get them out of this situation. If you look at the American Medical Journal, you'll see that like 50 to 60% of these guys have medical diagnosed disorders. This facility, our community does not think this facility is going to give them what they need to get back on their feet. Like Ms. Baker said, the community has come out. We've had 500 signatures. We do not want this facility near our homes, near our schools. Moulton Branch is right up the road. It's not that far. These guys, from what I understand, they're going to be allowed to drive after 30 days, puts them on the road. When you come around that curve on Howell Road, it's very dangerous. We travel it every day. My family comes around it every day. Who's to say one of these guys, they're not receiving the proper treatment? Who's to say they don't, fall off the wagon, come around that curve and hurt somebody? I mean, I know it can happen, but you're putting 52 males down here, near residences, near schools. We just don't feel they're getting the resources that they need. I guess that's all I'd like to say for now, but I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else that would like to speak in favor on this request? We have 2 minutes, roughly 3 minutes left. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. There's a couple of things probably, or at least one thing I'd like to get cleared up, and Mr. Elliott, if you would, if I get it wrong, please let me know. The case is going to be reconsidered. This agenda item here is just on the validity of the vote that was taken on June 16th. There were some errors that were made. I take responsibility for those errors, and so we're now making that vote potentially invalid. Our next agenda item will actually be another public hearing on this request. What that does at that time, it will reset a clock, and then this vote will be taken somewhere between 6 and 9 months after this public hearing tonight. So that's the process that we'll be going through. So the case is still active, and it still will be considered. Any questions, Commissioners? All right, we'll close the public hearing portion of the meeting. I'm sorry.
Just making sure you're saying this is the legality of the first initial vote. The next agenda item is to decide whether or not to move forward
As I did
with before, right?
prematurely, I'm going to ask for a show of hands to declare the June 16th vote invalid. Mr. Ornstein? Okay, good. Unanimous. So the June 16th vote is invalid. So now we will move to agenda item 5C. This is REZ 2022-10. Again, the Campus Transitional Care Facility. It is a public hearing. So Commissioners, do you have any questions prior to the public hearing? Or Mr. Dillard, I'm sorry, will you present?
Yes, sir.
Again.
Yes, sir. And again, thank you for the explanation, sir. This is an active application. As you said, it was submitted by Redeemed Living LLC in order to rezone approximately 23 acres from its EA to PD for uses to include a transitional care facility. The transitional care facility is defined in the ULDC and the official code of Georgia, and is currently not allowed in EA zoning, but it is allowed in a non-residential PD zoning, thus the need to rezone the property. As you stated, this is a part of official code of Georgia, which requires 2 public hearings on this, one being tonight and the other at least 6 months and not more than 9 months prior to the date of final action on the zoning decision. So the hearing required by this subsection of OCGA is in addition to any other required hearings by OCGA and the ULDC, sometime between March and May being the 6 to 9 months from this date, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Everybody clear on that?
Still a little iffy. So basically, this vote will be to hold another hearing to which a vote would take place, or this will be the vote?
There should be no vote tonight.
This is a public hearing.
Okay.
Just a public hearing, and that's
No
all.
action
We'll
to
go
be
through the
taken
steps of
after
that.
this public hearing.
Yeah. No vote will be taken tonight.
Have another public hearing, and then vote after that.
Any other questions?
What's the role of the planning commission in this? Will it go back to them at any point, or no?
We will evaluate that prior to scheduling the hearing before the Board of Commissioners.
But there is a chance that it will go before the planning commission again before it comes back to us for a vote, though?
Yes.
Possibly.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll move into the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
David Shu, 4867 Breakthrough Road, Valdosta. Mr. Ornstein, didn't your own planning commission already turn around and say no, that this was not recommended?
It did, but we also said yes before too.
I understand that, sir. So I guess what I'm asking is, why are we asking for your planning commission to look at things again when you've already ignored their request in the first place?
I was just asking a question.
They're a recommending body,
Yes, sir.
so, and that's what it is. They don't have any decision-making other than the decision to recommend.
I understand that.
And so the commission then has the latitude to either take that recommendation or go in another direction with
But
it.
that didn't answer my question, sir.
Okay?
My question was, why are we even considering going back to the planning commission when we have already rejected their
It's all a
recommendation?
procedural process. If it's determined that it does need to go back through from a legality standpoint, then that's what we'll do. If it's determined that we do not have to go there, then we will not go there.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Joshua Knight, 2209 Young Drive, Valdosta, Georgia. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Joshua Knight. I am a licensed attorney out of the state of Florida. I am a first responder here in the state of Georgia. I'm a small business owner here in the city of Valdosta, and I'm also a recovering alcoholic. I'm very representative of what it is to be a member of the recovery community. I was also a resident of Redeemed Living. The men, Brent and Randy, were there for me at a time of need when I relapsed several years ago. I have since been sober for going on 3 years, and I take a AA meeting into that house every week, and that house is, I think there's been a gross misinterpretation or misconception of what this house is. It's not a halfway house. It's not a flop house. This is a place where men who are serious about recovery go because it is recommended to them, because statistically, men who go to a transitional facility such as this after completing a program of recovery are exponentially more in favor of long-term recovery than those who do not. So every man that goes into this house wants to be there. They are working. They're up at 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning going to their jobs. They're going to church, Bible studies in the evening. They're attending my AA meeting once a week. They're attending a faith-based AA meeting or a 12-step program on other nights of the week. The men that don't want to be there, they wash out very quickly. These men are not criminals. They're not cons. They're not sex offenders. These are men who are looking to restore their lives, their relationships with their families, their friends, and coworkers. I have seen this place work miracles in my life and the lives of other men. I go in there weekly. If there's somebody who's struggling physically or with a familial relationship, they'll lay hands on each other. They'll pray for each other. This place is a house of God, really. What has been communicated is just grossly wrong misinformation. We have welcomed the community and commissioners to come and observe what we have planned and in store. And frankly, in my opinion, as a first responder, I see the effects of addiction firsthand. And as an active member of AA, I see the effects of addiction. We need more houses like this. We need more places like this in this community all over the state. And I encourage y'all to just reconsider the misinformation that's been communicated here today. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Brent Moore, 3850 CL Moore Road. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time. We had to be here again tonight, but here we are. And I just want to kind of clear the air on a few things that have been brought up to tonight as well as in the past. One of the things that has been really misconceived or miscommunicated is there has been 500 signatures. That is an accurate statement. 500 plus signatures. I've heard that from multiple people. Since those signatures were given, I've talked to multiple people who were those signatures, and their signatures were based off of the website Howell Against Halfway House. All of you have seen the website, I'm sure, and I encourage everyone in the room to please go to that website, as well as go to our, after you visit that website, visit Redeem Living's Facebook page, and you will find a link to a new Facebook group that we have created to be able to communicate with people who are against this, to be able to answer questions, clarify things, as well as we have some responses posted on that website for the misinformation. One of the big misinformations that was addressed tonight was the board member made a comment that this was one of 6 income revenue streams or something along those lines. That board member nor any other board member on our board has ever been compensated 1 penny, not 1 penny. Me nor any other board member has ever been compensated 1 penny, and I will provide financial documents to any of you that would request that up here to be able to prove that. So that is very false. That particular board member does have multiple streams of income. Working with me in this ministry is not one in any circumstance whatsoever. Another thing that was mentioned was that the facility is within so many miles of Moulton Branch and so many miles of a church. Greenleaf is 0.8 miles away from Jail Newbern, 0.4 miles away from W.G. Nunn, 1.2 miles away from Scintilla Charter Academy, less than 1.7 miles away from the new Valdosta High School, less than 2 miles away from multiple daycares. I think there's 5 or 6. Multiple apartment complexes, shopping centers, and within 1.5 miles of, I know of, 6 churches. I counted them. Fun facts about Greenleaf is that that they accept many people with mental disorders, legally insane people. They have over 75 beds. They also have 5 recovery residences within a mile or so of the Greenleaf facility. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of any issues with Greenleaf having people that are raping people, murdering people, hurting people, speeding down the road and being dangerous, all the things that have been said. I've never heard of it. I've personally worked for Greenleaf, and I've still never heard of it. So I would love to see the statistics on Greenleaf and anything of that nature. One of the things that was brought up was that there was sex offenders possibly going to be in this program. We do not allow any sex offenders. We do require a background check before they come into the program. They're not allowed to have any sexual crimes or violent crimes or any major habitual crimes. The only crimes that we will allow is very, very minor tickets, misdemeanors, and then as well as anything that obviously is drug related, because that's what we handle. Less than 2.5 miles away, I looked it up on the sex offender website. There is a sex offender living within 2.5 miles of that facility. Multiple people that have signed this signature, 500 signatures as well as other things, have been the ones that live 2.5 miles or greater away. So there's already a sex offender living within 2.5 miles of this facility, and we're wanting to argue that we're going to possibly bring one in when we're not. So I just wanted to clear that air. Another thing I wanted to kind of bring up was, we've been made out to be the bad person in this whole situation. As you just heard Josh say, Josh is a product of the outcome of what Redeem Living is. Josh had, came into Redeem, needed help, and we brought him in. Josh got his life together, found a community to get involved with, found an aid to get involved with, bought into a business, became a first responder. Josh is a upstanding citizen in this community. He's not a violent person like everybody's making these guys out to be. But as this meeting got over in June, I believe it was June 16th, I was threatened by a man behind me, meet me in the parking lot. You better hurry up and get out in the parking lot, something along those lines. I was also, somebody in the elevator says, I'm going home to get my guns and get them ready. Then I was also, had a client that is at Redeemed Living that was in the parking lot, was struck by another woman's vehicle because she was so angry that she came up to me trying to speak to me and yell at me and hit one of our clients. And we're the bad guy. That's all I wanted to make sure I clarified, that we are doing nothing but trying to help this community. This community is desperately in need of something like this. I just ask that you continue to consider to try to support us in this, and that if there's any questions that I can clarify, I would be glad to do so.
Commissioners, any questions?
Yes, sir. So the men that will live in this facility, if it's approved, will be men that have already gone through a drug or alcohol rehab program,
And are recommended by their counselor.
and they've gone through it and successfully got through that
Successfully
program,
completed
and they just need help adjusting from that program back into society.
That's correct. And the other thing I do want to clarify is there will, the long-term, the plan that we have outlined is a long-term plan. This is not going to happen overnight. This will be a 10-plus year, $3-something million investment. So it's not going to hurt any property values around it. It will only increase, and it will take up to 10 years to possibly build this.
Mr. Moore, your time's up. Thank you, sir. All right, that's all the time. Commissioners, I will close the public hearing portion of this meeting, and as you're aware, there'll be no action taken, and then we will go back through this process in 6 to 9 months. All right, we'll move on now to agenda item 6A, and this is to adopt the resolution accepting the infrastructure for the North Acre subdivision Phase 1. Mr. McLeod?
Yes, sir, thank you. The North Acre subdivision, Phase 1 is off of Valdale Road and includes 24 lots. Engineering staff has made the final inspections and all paperwork is complete.
Okay, let's just give them just a minute, Mr. McLeod. Okay, sir. All right, you finished, correct?
Yes, sir, I am done.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the resolution for Norfolk subdivision Phase 1.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the resolution on the infrastructure for North Acre subdivision Phase 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda item 6B is the Brixton Road paving project, the agreement with Valdosta Railway LP. Mr. McLeod?
Yes, sir, thank you. As part of the Brixton Road paving project, Lowndes County and Valdosta Railway will be upgrading the railroad crossing to a full crossing guards, lights, and gates. The engineering staff and the design engineer have been working with Valdosta Railway, and we have an agreement before you tonight for Valdosta Railway to complete that work for $438,537.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. McLeod? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 6C is the extraterritorial extension of water and sewer services. This is for parcel 0050032 and 0050033. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, sir. This property is the city of Hayhira, and it's used for their LAS spray fields. And Hayhira recently annexed this property. So this is being done per the 2008 SDS agreement that provides any party may make an extraterritorial extension of water and sewer services upon the approval of the affected party. This will not have any negative effect on the county, as we don't have anything in that area. And attached is a proposed letter from Chairman Slaughter to Mayor Kane communicating this. Staff recommends approving the extraterritorial extension of Hayhira water and sewer services to the property and authorize Chairman Slaughter to sign and deliver the attached letter to Mayor Kane.
Any questions for Mr. Stoughton? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 6D is the extraterritorial extension for water and sewer services for parcel number 149A 036D. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, sir. This is at 3833 Inner Perimeter Road, storage, basically known as monster storage here locally. This property is being served by Valdosta City Sewer Services now, water and sewer. And again, this is provided by the 2008 SDS agreement. It will not have a negative effect for the county, as we don't have anything in that area. And there is the proposed letter from Chairman Slaughter to Mayor Matheson communicating this. Staff recommends approving the extraterritorial extension of Valdosta Water and Sewer Services to the property and authorize Chairman Slaughter to sign and deliver the attached letter to the mayor.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stoughton? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion?
I do have the discussion, or at least a point to make.
Okay.
City of Valdosta needs to ask for these extensions before they run the water and sewer lines in the future.
Okay. Noted.
That's it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. We have one in opposition. Motion is approved. Agenda item 6E is extraterritorial extension of water and sewer services for parcel number 132D 001. Mr. Stoughton.
Yes, sir. This property is owned by Southern Gateway LLC. It's more commonly known to us as the Carroll property. And again, this property is down on near the exit there. It's being done again under the 2008 SDS agreement. This will not negatively affect the county's plans or provisions, and there's a letter attached on this one also. Staff recommends approving the extraterritorial extension of Valdosta Water and Sewer Services to the property to authorize the Chairman Slaughter to sign and deliver the attached letter to Mayor Matheson.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stoughton? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Aye. 2 ayes this time. Still 3-2. Motion carries. Agenda item 7A. Well, let me just say this to clear this up. The whole purpose of these extraterritorial extensions is along the lines of what Mr. Griner was mentioning. These extraterritorial extensions should have been requested previously. They were not. However, we're doing the extraterritorial extensions. The maps will reflect these changes on the water and sewer services maps. I will then ask Mr. Elliott to put together another package that will include these maps and a few other little changes that has come up, and then I will deliver that over to Mayor Matheson, the City of Valdosta, and I am requesting an expedient turnaround.
Mr. Elliott, you're not charging us by the paper, by the piece of paper, are you? You're not charging us by per piece of paper, are you?
Okay. We'll now move on to agenda item 7A. This is our one bid item. This is known as the Griner Lot Improvements. Mr. McLeod?
Yes, sir. Lowndes County purchased the Griner property in 2009, which is at the corner of Webster and Ashley Street. Staff has been working on a design for the project, and we had a pre-bid in a month ago, and we had three contractors show up, Reams, Roundtree, and Scruggs. Staff received only one bid from Roundtree Construction for $2,542,586.
Any questions for Mr. McLeod?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what type of timeline are we looking at?
I believe you
It's a-
said 270?
It's a 270-day contract.
So 200, basically next year, about this time?
Yeah, it would get into next year,
Yes, sir.
certainly.
The main
So about
reason is the delivery of pipe. They said it would take 3 to 5 months to get pipe here once ordered at this time.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
shouldn't we wait on this? This is not a top priority project here. We have other things in the county that we could use this $2.5 million on. And if we waited, I feel like maybe we would have more than one bid come in.
But if we used the $2.5 million on something else, we wouldn't have it to use on the Griner property.
That's right, because this is not a top priority, sense of urgency thing,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. We'll do it by show of hands. All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? 4-1, motion carries. Agenda item 8, County Manager's Report. Ms. Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. I want to let you all know that on Friday, Utilities and Finance did indeed get in a request for $44 million in ARPA funding. This is one of the recent allocations that's been made available through the state. There is a 10% match. If awarded, we will use our existing ARPA funds for that. But while this is something that Utilities worked heavily on, Steve was not the one, and I think he would agree, that did the heavy lifting on this. It was Miss Rachel Bowen. Rachel, would you please stand up? I'd like to give Rachel a hand. Rachel continues to keep us on track where our ARPA funding is concerned, and at the rate that the state and federal government continue to change the rules, that is no small task. So thank you, Rachel, for all of your hard work. Stephanie, thank you for allocating her time. I also wanted to thank everyone that made the 9/11 week last week a success. We continue to receive, thanks to Ms. Barwick, good press from that. We were picked up again by the ACCG's local lens. And then moving on to echo the chairman's comments earlier, not only did we have Chief Green, who came in second in his age category, we had Mr. Ron Isom, who works in utilities for Steve, who came in first in his category.
Oh, awesome, yeah.
Also, we had Natasha Rathkamp, who is here with us, sitting next to Ms. Bowen, and Rachel and Natasha also ran in the race on Saturday. So thank you, ladies, for representing us well there, and Steve had some more folks, and then the fire department was the largest group of public safety agencies that were represented. We have had our kickoff meeting for the Valdale Road traffic study yesterday morning. That went really well. We had a good group for that. The water assistance days with Coastal Plains that you all have seen advertised on social media is planned for Friday, and Ms. Rachel Thrasher is spearheading that along with utilities. So we will have that available in the overflow room, and our location is just for Lowndes County utility customers only. The staff is meeting for updates to the county's website next week. If you all remember, whenever we engaged Civic Plus several years ago, part of that commitment would be that we would refresh periodically, so we're at that point. We have several staff that will be attending DCA's Georgia Academy for Economic Development next week in Moultrie. The third recruit class graduation and rank pinning ceremony is on Tuesday at the Rainwater Conference Center at 10 a.m. Thank you for all of you who were able to make it last time, and if you did not make it, I encourage you to be there. This will be the third and final graduation of the current expansion. Also, we have new banners going up in the parking lot, and they will also be changed out for the holidays, and we have some electrical improvements to the exterior of the building so that we can move what we have traditionally done at the historic courthouse square to the front of this building so that we still provide Santa and the tree and all of that for our citizens to enjoy. So, Robin, thank you for your staff for making all of that happen, along with Ms. Barwick and Ms. Thrasher. And we have some birthdays. Chairman, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Also, it was Commissioner Evans' birthday last Tuesday, and then Commissioner Griner's birthday on Saturday. That's all I have.
Happy birthday, you all.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Dukes. As always, an excellent report. All right, we have one or two citizens wishing to be heard. We have Mr. Jerome Register and Mr. Melvin Brando? Brandon, correct? All right, sir, gentlemen. Yes, sir, come ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman,
Good afternoon, sir.
Board of Commissioners. My concern is Register Road, pavement process. Seems like we've been at that for a long, long time and just haven't got it complete. I've lived out there, well, I guess I need to say where but I lived out there all my life. That's where I grew up in. And I just seen that road just go down, down, down. And we just want to try to get it paved, if possible. I see it has moved on the list finally, because I think 2 or 3 years ago we filled out some paperwork, but it just didn't ever get to the right place. So we made a call to see what process of the paperwork, and our friend told us that we hadn't submitted it. And I explained to him, I said, yes, sir, we submitted it, and the secretary took it. He said, well, she doesn't work for me anymore. I said, well, maybe she stuck it in one of those files. So lo and behold, he looked in one of those files down behind his desk there, and he found the paperwork. But see, that paperwork should have been in the process of getting paid, and then that put us 2 or 3 years further behind. So we just want to be thought about on Register Road. Mr. Melvin?
Hello.
Hey, sir.
My name is Melvin Brandon. I live 4580 Register Road. I'm a retired Army Iraq War veteran. I purchased my property on Register Road in 98, and I built it in 2002. I retired. And the previous county commission say you're gonna be paved. That was one of my assumptions, that it will be paved by now. That's 20 years ago. And no process. The petition was brought around in 1980. People signed it again in 1996. I, in turn, went to all the citizens, the residents. Everybody was eager. In fact, they was running me down to sign it. Where do I stand? Nobody had no problem signing it. Everybody signed it. That was okay. So I turned that in to Mr. Mike Fletcher in 2020. And hopefully we're on the list now, but it say, I actually was there order of merit on, hey, you said it wasn't order of merit. I said, well, how y'all go about determining which road are next? The positive point about being Register Road being paved, it runs from Vienna Church Road all the way to River Road, or you say River Road to Vienna Church Road east. And it will be beneficiary to the school like that too also, because of a lot of the traffic go down River Road, and you got to have a security officer or sheriff out there directing traffic anymore. And no one comes down. I'm not trying to pick up more traffic, but what we're trying to do is get part of the quality of life. And we see a lot of houses getting built and subdivision being built on Cat Creek Road, and we just drop our head because it look like valley, that little depression, that nothing's being done. And, that's what that's what we need. We need some help. Sincerely need help and, get on the list and get something done. That's why we're here, and hopefully we can see some type of progress in the future.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Third.